a son, and we're expecting a new son in February. I always say in a humorous vein that it will be a son, and this is a little of my masculine ego coming out.
You already have a daughter and a son, and you are expecting a second son.
Yes.
Well, we certainly hope it does turn out to be a son for your sake, Doctor. And now, Doctor, we'd like to know, what is your concept? We notice in many of your writings and your speeches, your talks, your lectures, you've used the term nonviolence and Christian love. Exactly what does this mean?
Well, in short, I would say nonviolence means the refusal to use violence in any way in order to achieve a social end. It means refusing to use external physical violence and also refusing to use internal violence of spirit. And I would also say that it is a method which seeks to secure moral ends through moral means, and it grows out of the whole concept of love, because if one is truly nonviolent, that person has a loving spirit. He refuses to inflict injury upon the opponent because he loves the opponent. And I think the two go together, that the idea of love is a basic part of the whole idea of nonviolence and vice versa.
And thus you get the expression nonviolence and Christian love.
Yes.
Well, Doctor, what effect are the sit-ins having on the progress of the Southern Negro in his struggle for equality?
Well, I think a tremendous effect. I am convinced that when the history books are written in future years, historians will have to record this movement as one of the greatest epics of our heritage. I think the movement represents struggle on the highest level of dignity and discipline. No one of goodwill can disagree with the ends of the sit-in movement, the end to break down all barriers between people on the basis of race or color. But the thing that impresses me about the movement is the fact that they have followed means that grow out of the highest tradition of nonviolence and peaceful methods. And I think this is the thing that makes this movement unique and makes it one of the most significant developments in the whole racial struggle. I think also that one of the interesting things about the movement is that it's not only a lofty movement based on proper means and proper ends, but it is achieving something concrete. And so as a result of the sit-in movement, more than 112 cities have desegregated their lunch counters in the border and southern states. Therefore, we see tangible gains as a result of this very impressive and magnificent movement that has engulfed our Southland and electrified not only our nation but the whole world.
Well, Doctor, you have visited Africa and many of our neighbors abroad. So exactly what effect, or rather, what reaction does the African have on the American Negro situation as it stands today in America, in this country?
Well, there's quite a bit of interest and concern in Africa for the situation in the United States. African leaders in general and African people in particular are greatly concerned about the struggle here, and they are quite familiar with what is taking place. I just returned from Africa a little more than a month ago, and I had the opportunity to talk with most of the major leaders of the new independent countries of Africa, and also leaders in countries that are moving toward independence. And I think all of them agree that in the United States we must solve this problem of racial injustice if we expect to maintain our leadership in the world, and if we expect to serve as a moral voice in a world that is two-thirds colored, and of not naturally, everything that happens in the United States in the racial area, I mean, the area of racial injustice, is well publicized throughout Africa and Asia, so that they are familiar with it, and they are saying in no uncertain terms that racism and colonialism must go, for they see the two as based on the same principle, a sort of contempt for life and a contempt for human personality.
Well, thank you very much, Doctor. And one final question. We'd like to know that during your recent encounter in Georgia, this ticket situation, did President-elect Kennedy have any influence, or did he influence your release, or just how did he fit into the picture? Did he have any connection with your being released?
Well, I would say first that many forces work together to bring about my release. I don't think any one force brought it about, but you had a plurality of forces working together. I'm sure that the interests of the public in general all over America had a great deal to do with it. Now, it is true that Senator Kennedy did take a specific step. He was in contact with officials in Georgia during my arrest, and he called my wife, made a personal call, and expressed his concern and said to her that he was working and trying to do something to make my release possible. His brother, who at that time was his campaign manager, also made direct contact with officials and even the judge in Georgia, so that the Kennedy family did have some part, at least they expressed a concern, and they did have some part in the release. But I must make it clear that many other forces worked to bring it about also.
Oh, thank you very much, Doctor. And could you give us the subject of your speech tonight?
Yes, my subject will be the Negro and the American Dream, based on the whole concept of the dignity and worth of human personality expressed in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And out of this I will develop the general theme that it may well be that the Negro will serve as a savior of our nation, that is, to save the soul of our nation in this period when so many forces are at work seeking to scar the American dream.
Right. Congratulations, everybody. If you can hear me, you have just been a part of history. All right. Let's give it up for Dr. Martin Luther King, y'all. All right. So who still hadn't won anything yet?